years in the making, it's been a long time. So I'm James Rojas, and I studied the way Latinos use space in my neighborhood in East LA 30 years ago. And I want to tell a story about Latinos as placemakers, not as gangbangers and stuff like that. So every Latino you see in the bus, or cleaning a house, is an urbanist, because they're bringing in a different way of thinking about the American city form. And they do these things that are just kind of really different and kind of you're taking the streets. This is a kind of the American way of looking at planning. It's very kind of transactional, kind of always based on highest and best use, coming in and out. But then for Latinos like us, we're a hybrid of indigenous peoples and the Spanish. It creates this kind of hybrid culture that kind of takes them both. So we're very mixed. Like I said earlier, it's a mixture of indigenous, black, and and Spanish roots. But I think for us, it's about how we look at land as a relationship, not as a transaction. This is a typical street in LA, in Southern California, where walking is a transaction. You just get from A to B, and it's crap. But then this is a sidewalk in San Francisco in the Mission, where they actually pave the sidewalk. So now that sidewalk is an experience. Your body sinks into that sidewalk. And that's what our culture does. This is a Barrio Low in San Diego. The city built a freeway to the Latino barrio. What do Latinos do? They put murals underneath it. So at the top of their freeway, you're experiencing at 60 miles an hour. Below it, it's about the experience of art and nature. It's art and just experience that space floating down. The park lot in East LA, that turned into a shrine. Is that zone for us? No, it just happens, right? But you're making a connection to these spaces that are kind of forgotten. This is a plaza in Mexico, in East LA, where we built this. We built a station on. I also looked at yards. For a lot of Latinos that buy a house in LA, they miss the plaza from Latin America. So they turn the front yard into a plaza. They put in the fountain, they put in all the work, they put in the arches. You can see the old American house and the new Spanish house. With the arches and stuff like that. So they want to create that kind of sense of community, right in the streets. And then so what happens is that what happens is in the suburbs that the front door, the threshold of the house shifts from the front door to the front gate. Like when I did my research 30 years ago, it was often the front gate, because that's a really natural way to talk to people. It's not as formal as the front door, so you have all this interaction taking place in these front gates. Then you have this plaza. This guy built this front yard with the light posts, the fountains, the walkways and plants. But he misses that. A lot of Latinos grow up with their abuelitas that grew up in these front yards. So we kind of get to the plaza becomes part of our culture through our grandmothers, through our abuelitas. So we create that kind of spaces. And we have Latinos, Latino man space in the backyard. So it's about just connecting the space. Like this, I call this a Latina tinkering garden. It's just a garden the woman creates that you just tinker in it. But it just shows a connection to space and plants and nature and all these things. It's not about a beauty, it's not about a function, it's just a tinkering place to accept connections. So to understand this stuff, I do a lot of workshops to engage Latinos. We're here, and how do we engage ourselves in city planning? So I do the workshops that are hands-on. In fact, I'm doing one tomorrow at 10:15, so I use objects. Because for us, even as architects and planners, it's hard to explain the built environment. So I do the same thing. I do the same thing that takes Latinos in East LA. We go, yeah, we never thought about that. We produce the space, but if you can't articulate it, it goes nowhere. They tell Latinos, tell your story, tell us about your space. So using objects like this helps them tell their story. Because you get them out of the brain, and they're using their hands. Because when you talk, like in most meetings, it's about survival. More parking, less traffic, more money. When you use your hands, it's about connections to space. You want nature, you want people, you want friends, you want things like that. And for Latinos, it's so easy. When I worked in LA, we'd have meetings. So 40 Latinos in the room, they wouldn't say a word. But once you brought the objects in here, they started building like crazy, and they would tell their stories. Because that's what they do. So they share their story, they build it, and they tell them that's your DNA for city planning. That's your story. We want to hear. You got to say so we can make better cities. This is working in Tijuana, in a parking lot. This is working making it family friendly. So for a lot of Latinos, though, that's so important. We did workshops recently in Portland, and we did 3 workshops. Latinos skipped all 3 meetings because they wanted to hear the stories of their neighbors. The planning was great, but the stories were better. That's when it came to making this kind of connections to people is really important. And you get Latinos to really articulate the kind of feelings they have. So tomorrow we're doing a workshop, at 10:30, you're all invited. It's like Latino planning style, and we're gonna have to do a book out too called Green Play Build. You can buy it at the bookstore. Thank you.